Hello, friends. I am Matt Zisk. I and my wife Isabel are
T.
very
Hi,
pleased
T.
you
Can
could
you hear
join us
us?
this evening for the Music for the Soul concert we are hosting. For the past few years, we have used this space to host monthly live and hybrid and, with COVID, streamed-only concerts, as
Now it
well as
looks
other
like she
arts and
hears.
community benefits. We specially designed and built this space for this purpose as a way to give back to the music and arts communities and to help shore up what is an increasingly broken system of support and remuneration for artists, and in particular for musicians. We urge everyone to be safe, and we hope to resume a regular schedule of in-person events when circumstances permit. In the meantime, we hope that you will join us in supporting the arts financially and by attending live performances online and, if possible, in person. Enjoy the show.
Primarily because of today.
Yeah, I can believe it.
You can. Yeah, I just needed a lot of time to practice. And next week we're getting together with my sibs. And after that, we're getting an exchange student the last week of August. So we need some time to get acquainted.
Well, I see, Risa, you brought some of your dinglings with you.
Yes. We're going to make an entrance.
Oh, we're making an entrance.
Yes, I thought maybe.
Oh, so you're backstage now. Got it.
Don't know offhand if I'm set up to play any other song like what I'm going to play.
Okay.
6 does. Oh.
What?
What? Deb, have you seen anybody do that before?
Yeah,
Have? 6 hands, 6 and a half.
I have.
Right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at someone doing it right now. Oh, Matt.
I didn't want you to know that we were there.
Hello, friends. I am Matt Zisk. I and my wife Isabel are very pleased you could join us this evening for the Music for the Soul concert we are hosting. For the past few years, we have used this space to host monthly live and hybrid and, with COVID, streamed-only concerts, as well as other arts and community benefits. We specially designed and built this space for this purpose as a way to give back to the music and arts communities and to help shore up what is an increasingly broken system of support and remuneration for artists, and in particular for musicians. We urge everyone to be safe, and we hope to resume a regular schedule of in-person events when circumstances permit. In the meantime, we hope that you will join us in supporting the arts financially and by attending live performances online and, if possible, in person. Enjoy the show.
This is
Recording in progress.
Lovely. When I was in China, we had a music teacher there, and her name actually was Ding Ding, which I thought was lovely for a music teacher.
That is lovely for a music teacher. Ding ding.
Yeah, she used to teach me. She used to teach me piano, and we had two music teachers, Ding Ding and Venny, both women. And I decided that it was probably not a good idea to have lessons from one of them. So I scrupulously had a lesson from each week. And on the anniversary of us starting, I used to buy them a basket of fruit each. But had sufficient wisdom to, I used to go to the fruit shop and make sure that the two baskets were identical. Because I knew if one woman got a pineapple and the other one didn't, that there would be trouble.
Alex, do you have many people in the audience?
Yes, we have about 20 people in the audience.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty good attendance, still socially distant. Everybody has their space.
Might have had more if they
Yes,
fewer people stayed away.
we would hope to have more potentially once COVID is in the rear view.
Sure. So we're at Princeton?
Yes, we're in Princeton. Oh, that gong means we're about to begin.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know, are we on?
Yeah, although I'm not sure that the PA is on. Carry on.
In case you didn't recognize that it was Simple Gifts, arranged by Larry Sue, and we'll have more about him later. He is also the composer of the last piece on our program and a dear friend. So the text seems fitting. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free. 'Tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. So here we are in the valley. Welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am Clipper, and this is my wife, Risa.
And we're glad that you're here.
And we're so happy to be sharing live music with you in front of a live audience, and also for everybody out there in the Zoom ether. It's a really special time, and that one that we really hold dear, because we don't know how long it will last, what will come next. So we're just happy to be here and to be making music and sharing what we have. And we will be continuing now with a much bigger piece and a more serious piece. This is Until the Day Breathes and the Shadows Flee, Prayer for the Holocaust by Derek Hakes. This was written for a remembrance ceremony, Legacies of Justice, in 2006 in Carmel, Indiana. So it's a very meditative piece, a very prayerful piece, and also a wonderful piece for Risa to show off some of the amazing timbres and sounds that she has all arrayed here.
I believe in the sun, even when the sun is not shining. I believe in love, even when I do not feel it. I believe in God, even when God is silent.
Well, I'm elected to talk while Risa is setting up the table, which is a very big production in handbells because, well, if you want to ask how does she know what bell is what? Well, they're laid out in keyboard order. So you have one row in front that corresponds to the white keys and one row behind that that corresponds to the black keys. The only thing about that is when I play, my keys can't move. So she can move her keys around. And so once she gets done, she has to put them back. So so I'm elected to do some talking while she gets all of her toys in order. So this is a good opportunity for me to explain what the series is that I've been doing for the last several months, that this is the first hybrid concert of, and that series is called Music for the Soul. I started this series at the end of last year in response to the pandemic, when I realized that this was going to be a long haul, and people need music, and music needs to be delivered in a whole new way, and we need it more than ever. And also, in response to the social unrest that is going on and the social injustice that is going on, I decided to start a series where I feature works by composers of color and women composers in combination with more commonly known masterpieces in classical music. The intersection of social justice and classical music. So that is the genesis of the series. So far we have done, this is our 4th concert, and it started out featuring works by Nathaniel Dett, who is an African-American composer that I have done a great deal of work with for many years. And also works by Florence Price, who is another African descent composer, and Margaret Bonds. I've also been doing a lot of works by Clara Schumann, who was Robert Schumann's wife. A little bit more about her later when I do some piano solo pieces. So if you want to know what's coming up with this series, go to my website, clippererickson.com, and I post what the next concert is, what we have coming up. This is our 4th, the first hybrid, and there will be more through the next season with new adventures, chamber music, piano solo, vocal works. So it's a labor of love for me, and I hope that you'll be interested in it and join it as well. So the next piece we're going to play is called Canzona, and Canzona is by Carolyn Harnley. And Carolyn Harnley is actually a friend of Larry Sue, who was the arranger of Simple Gifts. And it turns out that when I first met Risa a little bit more than 10 years ago, I really didn't know anything about handbells, and what a world it is. It's a very tightly knit group of people who go to many, many festivals, who are involved in things all over the world. They travel everywhere. There are festivals in Korea, in Hong Kong, in several places in Europe, really everywhere. So people travel around and go to all these festivals, and they not all know each other. So it turns out that Carolyn Harnley it played in a handbell group that Larry Sue was running, and the name of that ensemble was called the Loading Zone. Bump. Okay, so these puns. Okay, another handbell person that has a ensemble of low bells, which, as you can see, are big, and they tend to be very heavy. So you have to be kind of a strong person to actually be lifting these bells and ringing them. Well, the name of that group is Loading Zone, and Loading Doc is the name of the person that runs that group. So
That was Larry Sue.
And that was Larry Sue. Okay, so he's the Loading Doc. And so this is really kind of a very fun group. And Larry, Sue, and Carolyn also were from California. That's where they knew each other. So are we ready for Canzona? You're ready.
I think so.
You think so? Okay. This is it's really a marvelous piece. I think it's a great melody, and I guess Risa tells me that there really isn't much else by Carolyn Harnley, so it's kind of a one-hit wonder. But it's a really great piece. I think she would be well advised to write more. Well, I think it might be a good time to ask our either Zoom audience whether there are any questions, or people in the live audience whether there's any questions. I would imagine that most of the questions will be about all of this. So I am going to get the mic over to Risa so she can answer.
Actually, if I, oh my, excuse me here. We do have some great questions coming in from everyone on Zoom. And I would love, so that they can hear me, in order to prevent a feedback loop, I cannot turn the sound on my iPad. So any questions, please put them in the chat. So the first question that I have is, what type of piano are we playing on this evening?
It is a Steinway B.
Steinway B, fabulous.
Yes. Very nice one.
Very nice.
We're very happy with it.
Yes. And then the next question is from Philip Green Jackson for Risa. What is the total weight of the bells? That's a really good question.
And I don't know the answer.
You don't?
A lot.
All of the bells that are laid out on the table are stored in one case, and that case is on wheels. And what do you think when you have to?
Okay, well, there is somebody in the audience here who I know from my gym who takes me through a very aggressive ab workout, and now you know why.
So I would say that case is maybe 50 or 60 pounds.
Likely, yes.
Oh my. Really quickly, is it a Hamburg or a New York Steinway? New York.
Yeah, it feels like a New York.
Feels like a New York.
83?
1983.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
That's probably after the Teflon era. Okay, well that's piano geek talk. So.
From Lori Rosolowski, I have, it looks like Risa puts the bells back in order while playing. Is that indeed what you do?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And there are also times when I should have and didn't.
Well, that's the other comment. We're getting a lot of comments about the choreography that's involved. I mean, this is very athletic. You do a lot of,
Yes.
I have a question.
And that's why I don't go to the gym.
I was going to say, my next question is, how many calories do you estimate that you burn per concert? Am I right, folks?
Well, per concert, probably quite a few.
I'm sure.
There's also the sweat.
So, is the handbell notation, is it written almost exactly like piano music?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For solo handbells, pretty much any C instrument could play from my scores.
Okay.
So, the solo handbell arrangements that we have could be played by another instrument. Of course, when we have shakes or when we play the bell tree, there would be some kind of adaptation that would have to be made if another instrument were to play. But it looks like any other solo instrument manuscript.
Alex?
Yes.
We have a question over here.
How does the bell tree, you talked about this being like the piano keys. Okay, there's 80
Right.
of them, I don't see 88 here, it's close. And where do they factor in? And do they have sharps and flats? I heard sharps and flats.
Yes.
How do they go together?
Yeah, can you repeat the question, Risa?
How do they go together?
The question is how the bells in the bell tree are put together. They are not in keyboard order, obviously. Typically, we only put the bells in the tree that are going to be played. So I have here, now the two bells at the top of each chain are covered because as I was practicing, when I hit the top bell in the chain, there was some weird vibration because of the rod that the bells are hanging on. So I put an extra bell in there and I covered it so I would remember not to play it. So here we have C, G, F, E flat, C, B flat, A flat. And then on the other side we have G, F, E flat, D flat, C, and B flat. So I only have the notes in there that are required. And all of the notes, all of the bells have the note name written on them, and also the accidentals, the black keys, if you will. This one is an F sharp or a G flat, and the musicians among you know that that's the same note. So that's how I keep track.
Fabulous. Well, I don't have anything. Oh, we have one more right here.
Does Risa ever do any change ringing concerts?
No.
So remember to repeat the question.
If I ever do any change ringing concerts, change ringing is a special field of bell ringing, and it is also done on handbells. So change ringing is from a tower, a bell tower that has anywhere from 4 to 12 bells, each connected to a rope. So you have one person for each bell. And there are mathematically determined sequences for ringing the bells. And of course, you can imagine that if there were 10 bells in the tower, there are 10 people to play the bells. It can get kind of noisy in town and might not be that much fun to listen to when they're practicing. And the other thing is that in the winter, it can be pretty cold in the bell towers. So somebody had the idea to make tuned handbells, and they could practice change ringing in the warmth and comfort of the local pub.
I think we had a question over here.
Yes. Emma, what?
So what's the note on the top?
This one that I didn't play? That's an F sharp.
Oh.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, Risa, you mentioned, or Clifford mentioned, that this is done all over the world. If you ever travel anywhere else, do you have to take all the bells with you?
Typically,
Repeat the question.
sorry.
Yeah.
When I travel elsewhere in the world to play bells, do I have to take all of my bells with me? Typically, if there's a festival, I haven't ever gone to an international festival, let's just say that.
But you spent a lot of time in Germany.
Yeah, but I still didn't go to an international festival. But festivals in America, there are a lot of churches around wherever the festival is hosted that own handbells. So the organizers of the festivals just gather up sets of bells from not too far away. People who drive to the festival might bring bells with them. Some people who fly, especially soloists, who are very particular about their own set of bells because they're adjusted just the way they like them, they will also fly with their set of bells.
Oh,
How do they make it through the metal detector?
How do they make it through the metal detector? That's a good one.
The question, how do they make it through the metal detector in the airport? There are a lot of fun stories from handbell ringers who have traveled with their bells, and the what are they called? The TSA people say, "What have you got in there?" And they open up the case. Oh my gosh, look at that. How cool is that? And of course, sometimes we'll just have half a dozen bells in our carry-on. And there are questions. And sometimes people will say, oh yes, my son played those in school, back in grade school. So you always get into fun conversations in that kind of situation.
I just keep asking questions. There's 88 keys on a piano. How many bells do you have?
Question?
Referring to the 88 keys on the piano, how many bells do I have? Let's see. Of one brand, I have 4 octaves. That's, how many keys is that?
Well, 49 if you've got 2
Yes.
endpoints.
Yes.
So then, is it the middle 49 and you leave off the end, or are they?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Well, all right, so the bell that makes
Yeah, that's what
that
Doesn't
is
exist.
about that.
That's right.
Okay, so there's not too many of those.
Really quickly, we have someone on Zoom, apparently from Larry and Carla Sue. If you watch the bells in the TSA scanner, they're bright blue on the monitor. That's a fun fact. Thank you for that, Larry and Carla Sue.
Yes.
Who knew?
So, yes, that's our friend Larry Sue and his wife Carla, who are watching from Michigan.
Great. Do we have another question?
And they just waved on Zoom, by the way. They just waved, so you can
Larry
wave back.
and Carly.
They just waved on Zoom. Hi. Great. Great.
What a little interesting. Another fun fact is nobody's asked who makes these.
Ooh, that is a good question.
There are 2 main companies that make handbells, and they are both headquartered in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
That's great.
Malmark and Schulmerich. And one of them uses a foundry, a bronze foundry in Princeton.
Oh, nice. We have a little claim to fame here.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting trivia, that these are kind of local, and that's where we live. We live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So that's, yeah, we can just go by and see all the new toys that they have at the headquarters up there. So I'm going to continue now with some piano music. And so I'm going to raise the lid on the instrument. And the 2 pieces that I'm going to play are 2 of the most romantic piano pieces that I know, because they were written in the context of relationships. I'm going to start with the Variations by Clara Schumann. Clara Schumann was the wife of Robert Schumann. For those of you that don't know, Robert Schumann was one of the great composers of the 19th century. And his wife was also one of the greatest pianists, and also a composer in her own right of the 19th century. And the 2 of them had probably the most spectacular love affair in all of music history. Robert fell in love with Clara when she was a teenager. She was already world famous, touring everywhere. And he was sort of an unknown budding composer. He went and he fell madly in love with her. And her father would not allow her to marry him. So then he instituted a lawsuit to get permission to marry her, which he won. And he married her on 2 days before her 21st birthday, at which point then she would have been free to marry him anyway. just to stick it to her father. Great drama. There's all kinds of great drama with all these composers. So it was a marvelous love affair. They wrote music for each other. Clara played Robert's pieces everywhere on her tours. The tragic thing is Robert was also very ill. So their marriage only lasted for 16 years. Robert died at the age of 46. They did have 7 children, however. And okay, so that 16 years that they were married was pretty productive. And a lot of Robert's music was just pouring out of him because of this love that he felt. And this particular set of variations that Clara wrote is on a theme that Robert wrote. And she wrote it only 2 years before he died. He was already very ill, and it was clear that he was not going to live much longer. So it deals with her feelings about what this impending loss. And it's a very tragic but also a very uplifting work in how it proceeds. All of the language of loss and the emotions are there. So you have depression, you have anger, you have bargaining, and finally acceptance. The piece ends with Clara weaving her own melody in with Robert's melody. And then after that, the music ascends to heaven. So it's very symbolic in that the two people in death rise to heaven. And the key is F sharp minor, and then modulating to F sharp major, and that's a wonderful key to play because it's all black keys. And we love playing on black keys. And so did the jazz players, incidentally. Like Duke Ellington and U.B. Blake and all those people, they wrote all their pieces in keys like E flat minor and G flat major and stuff. And we think like, why would they do that? But it's because it's all black keys, and it's just so wonderful to play on black keys. And so I hope you enjoy these wonderful variations. There's a lot of symbolism in here. If anybody is interested in what that symbolism is, I'm happy to talk theory geek with you. But I'm not going to go on too long with everyone else. But if anybody wants to know more, let me know. I think that piece alone puts Clara Schumann in the top rank of composers. My series, this is part of my series, is to feature these composers who have been overlooked, particularly composers of color and women. And it kind of grew a little bit out of a class that I taught at Temple. I was asked to teach a class at Temple on 19th century piano music. And I was substituting for an ill professor, and I had the syllabus from the professor. And, well, okay, so then it was the usual culprits, right? So then there was Chopin, and there was Robert Schumann, and there was Brahms, and there was Rachmaninoff, and all the people that and I said, okay, how about we include somebody else? And all the students just thought that was wonderful. They did reports, they did final papers on all these other people, and I thought, okay, this is what needs to be done. We're going to turn this into a series. So that was really the genesis of it. And once you hear this music, you realize, like, where has this music been? I'm working on a sonata now. It's a very big and difficult piece by Florence Price. You might have heard of Florence Price. She's been getting a lot of press recently. She was an African-American composer active in the 20s and 30s from Little Rock. Moved up north to Chicago when Jim Crow was getting intolerable, like the Tulsa riots and so on. But she was a fabulous composer, and I'm just really thrilled to be able to do this piece. And I'm thinking, like, it doesn't even matter whether it's a black composer or not. It's like, where's this piece been all my life? Well, we all know the answer to that, but here it is, and I'm just really happy to be able to do it. So now the end of the story is that here's Robert and Clara in heaven, and who do they meet there? Ludwig. Ludwig van Beethoven. So Beethoven's sonata in F sharp major is one of the most beautiful sonatas that he ever wrote. And it's also a rather passed over sonata because it's short. It only has 2 movements, and it's not particularly brilliant, but it's very heartfelt and full of emotions and flowery feelings. And he wrote it for a patroness of his. And, well, of course, Beethoven supposedly had all kinds of affairs, and he was constantly in love with somebody. And this is sort of one of his personal statements to this lady. And of course, we don't know. Of course, there's that great mystery about the immortal beloved, right? This torrid love letter of Beethoven's, and you don't know, who was it? Nobody knows. So it's just like one of those great mysteries that we just love. But that's very typical of Beethoven, and you can hear that in the music. It's the first movement is very emotional, very flowery, and the last movement is just fun. So it's not just a dark, somber piece like Clara Schumann's piece, but it's also fun because, after all, you want to have fun on your date, right? So it's not just all it's not all just sad and flowery. It's also very fun. So it's a piece that I really enjoy playing. And it's also unusual because it's in F sharp major, and that's like kind of a crazy key, right? Because, well, it has 6 sharps, and who can read 6 sharps? Not you. Okay, well, actually, 6, it's very easy. That key is very easy. It fits the piano. It just fits the keys so nice. All the long fingers play the black keys, and you don't have to scrunch your hand up to try to get on all the white keys. But, it's hard to read. But, once you get used to it, it's no big deal. So it starts with a rise, a slow rise, an adagio. That, again, it's a gesture up to heaven. And then you have an allegro non troppo, which is very lyrical and very sweet. And then the last movement is a vivace, just lots of fun and games. And now we'll welcome Risa back up. And we have some more pieces for you. And the first one we're going to do is Fantasy on a Silesian Folk Tune, arranged by one of our favorite composers, Kathy Mokelbust, and arranged by David Mokelbust. Now, one thing that happens very often in the handbell world is a lot of these pieces get composed for handbell ensemble, and then people like it so much that they say, well, I want to play it all by myself. So then it gets arranged for one handbell soloist plus the backup, meaning me, playing all the rest of the notes. And so David, Kathy's husband, has done that for this piece. You might recognize a hymn tune in this, Beautiful Savior. Folk tunes often become hymns. It's a Silesian folk tune. And hymns often become handbell pieces.
Very often.
Clipper, forgive me, can you close the lid to show
Oh,
us
right,
that?
yeah. Forgot. No, it's too good. This is also one of our favorites. Nocturne in C minor by Michael Hellman. And this is another one, yet another one that was originally for handbell ensemble and was arranged for soloist and keyboard. So this is a particular favorite of mine because it has a really nice, juicy piano part. So, so that's always very nice when you have some really nice sound to make. And we're going to be hearing yet another bit of Risa's toys here, these bell plates. Oh, so you want to say something about what the bell plates are?
It's like a paint scraper.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, that's what it was.
This looks like something that a mason would have been using. And in fact, the story is that there was a gentleman in Great Britain who was clearing out his garage, and he had a large piece of sheet metal. And he picked up this large piece of sheet metal, and it bends kind of, and it makes a sound, and he kind of liked the sound. And he said, hey, this could be something useful. So they are tuned. I only have a small selection here today, but you can see from the different sizes so the smaller instruments have the higher pitch, just like the bells. So they're bell plates, they're called, and I happen to like the sound, so I use them in this piece.
Well, we've come to the final piece on our program, and
No, not at all.
well, if you want more, then we can always probably come up with something. But this is a world premiere. At least this arrangement is a world premiere, and it is by our dear friend, who I believe is listening in, Larry Sue. So we actually had an interesting conversation with him when we were on a trip to Michigan, and we decided to meet some of Risa's old handbell friends on our way back. And we were having breakfast with them all, and we were talking about this concert that we were doing, and we were also talking about our series, the whole Music for the Soul idea. And we were talking about, well, what can we use for handbells that are composers of color? And we don't really know anybody. And Larry Sue, since he is of Chinese ethnicity, kind of raised his hand and say, "Hi." Okay, so then we said, well, what do you got? And he said, well, I have this piece that I just wrote for a celebration of marriage, and how about arranging it for solo handbell and piano? And so this is it. And we're very happy to be playing this, and I would like to read you some of Larry's notes, because it kind of tells you a little bit about what the piece is. He wrote it for a couple that was celebrating 30 years of marriage. And there's a lot of symbolism in the piece, and it starts with what Larry says, a finding our way phrase. So that's sort of the beginning of marriage, because those first few years truly are a settling in time when many things aren't quite locked into place. The opening two measures spell the name of the person that had commissioned it. So that's really kind of cool. But then again, that's a little bit more sort of theory geek stuff. Well, then the tempo changes and life really starts to roll. It's the same theme except steadier and more assured. It's normal to have some rough spots and dissonance along the way. So the minor key section is that thought when she goes and plays on chimes. So this is yet another toy. So now we've got yet another thing that she's moving out here that she's going to play in this piece. And he says, it occurs to me that this is the point at which our marriage has often developed strong positive and negative characteristics. So in the same way that the two of you have continued beyond those difficult times that there might have been, the minor section comes to an end and the original theme returns. Then, children have a way of making life both wonderful and complicated. You have 3 complexity enhancers. Negotiating family chauffeur service probably was continuing evidence of this for several years. So now what happens next is a 3-voice fugue. And so now we have those 3 children with their melodies and their subjects going on at different times, making a big climax. And then the final presentation of the original theme combines that theme and the fugue subject. And the fugue subject is presented in the piano part, and it goes twice as slow as it originally did. And the music theory word for that is augmentation. And I'm sure that Larry was thinking about, well, that's the children all grown up now. They're a lot bigger, so the fugue subject is going to get bigger and slower. So then that's kind of the program of the piece, and we are very happy to be playing it. And at this point, I would like to say that we are just really happy that we are able to do this, and you're all in the room with us, and all of our friends out in the Zoom world. What we do is I like to call the gift economy. This is a phrase that a dear friend of mine who also runs a concert series in his home in Princeton calls his series the gift economy. So this is our gift to you and to our audience, and it's a gift of music that we need now more than ever before, because people are isolated, people are nervous, people are afraid, and music is what brings us together. It's always been that way through humanity and through the history of humanity, and that's what we do. We have our gift and we share it with you. But we need a gift sometimes coming back the other way. So we would really appreciate it if you would donate to our cause and to the series, and check in on the series and see what's going on with it. And also, I have to give a big shout out to the people who are making this all possible. In the piano world, it used to be that your best friend that you definitely owed at least a case of beer or better to was the piano tuner. So when you go to a concert and you have to play with the orchestra, then you owe the piano tuner your life. Well, now it's the person behind the computer screen that you owe your life to. And the two people that we owe that to are Matt Zisk and Alex Gilliam. And without them, none of this would be happening. And I have to say that I can't say how fortunate I was to meet these people, because I would have no idea how to do any of this stuff. I don't know what they do on Zoom and YouTube Live and all of this connectingness with that. And I'm very blessed to know them so that I can concentrate on what I do by them doing what they do. So thank you so much. So now we will continue with a celebration of our life. And that goes for the two of us too, because it's kind of a celebration of our life together.
Yes.
So even though we're not up to 30 yet, we're only coming up on 9, but it's been quite a ride. It's been a really great celebration.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
It's getting. Oh, really? You're in a hurry to go someplace? Well, we better play then.
Okay, we'll just go ahead and play.
Please be sure to shut that mic off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Get a room. Cute way.
Larry.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, and Larry, I knew you were Trekkie when I played the end. Because he played, Okay, well, that would be... Encore! Do you want to do Joshua, or shall I do...
Sure, yeah.
You want to do it?
Yeah. Takes a moment.
Okay, we got...
Talk amongst yourselves.
We got the cleanup going here. So this is another arrangement by Nancy Haskell, who was a dear friend of ours until she passed. How long ago was that? 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
She lived in Portland, Oregon. We went there to visit her. And Risa coached with her. She was an excellent handbell player, one of the best handbell players I've ever seen. So that was a really great. We stayed at her house for a couple days, and we borrowed one of the cars and drove up to Mount St. Helens, which was really cool. And we really loved Portland. The Rose Garden and the Japanese garden, they're really quite special. So I recommend it if you haven't been there.
So here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Don't he try to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one?
No. Okay. Thank you.
Well, how about a little bit of Jubidance, she says. All right, Nathaniel Dett. I have some CDs out there of my Nathaniel Dett album. If anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, let me know. This is really my love. I mentioned him before. I did the first complete recording of all of his piano music in 2015. It's getting played all over the world, really, on radio stations. Got Critics' Choice Award at Gramophone UK. And this is his most popular piece, the Jubidance.
Glad you all came. Glad you all were watching on YouTube, on Zoom.
All right.
Now we can party.
Now we can party. We can have wine.
Thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. It was so great to have all of you here. Hold on, let me mute these folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any questions or anything for Clipper or for Risa, I would love to pass those on. Additionally, as Clipper said, you guys are welcome